What do a Roman emperor infamous for his insanity, and an American president infamous for, well, everything have in common? More than you'd think, and none of it's good. Both were born into immense privilege, believed the world revolved around their every whim, and treated their nations like personal piggy banks. Their greed wasn't just a flaw, it was their entire governing philosophy. This isn't just a history lesson, it's a warning about what happens when you hand the keys to the kingdom to a man-child with a god complex. Tonight, we're diving into the bizarre world of Trump and Caligula. Two men who prove that absolute power attracts absolute weirdos. We'll explore their reigns of error, their spectacular narcissism, and their shared talent for making everyone around them deeply uncomfortable. Buckle up, this is going to be a wild ride. Let's start with the most obvious similarity. An obsession with wealth so over the top it's almost cartoonish. Caligula rolled in gold coins and built floating palaces just to show off. Trump took that blueprint and cranked it up. Gold-plated everything, his name in lights, and a penthouse that looks like a Bond villain's lair. Caligula's excess had a touch of Roman grandeur. Trump's is pure shopping mall glitz. Caligula built party ships, Trump built Trump Force One. Both turned symbols of state into personal playgrounds. The difference? Caligula's extravagance was imperial. Trump's is straight out of a catalog for rich people with no taste. Somehow Trump made gold-plated toilets look tackier than anything in ancient Rome. If there's one thing a narcissist loves more than money, it's seeing their name everywhere. Caligula finished other people's projects, then renamed them after himself, and even replaced gods' heads on statues with his own. He demanded to be worshipped as a living god, turning Rome into a stage for brand Caligula. Trump? He slapped his name on everything. Steaks, vodka, buildings, even a university. His buildings screamed Trump in giant letters, the architectural equivalent of a toddler shouting "mine." Caligula's statues were at least made of marble. Trump's self-promotion was a relentless multimedia assault. Caligula wanted to be a god, Trump was content being a brand, just a very, very loud one. In the end, both made sure you'd never forget who was in charge. Tyrants hate advice, especially from experts. Caligula mocked the Senate, forced them to act like servants, and made military decisions on a whim, like sending his army to collect seashells instead of invading Britain. Trump? He claimed his gut was smarter than any expert, dismissed scientists, contradicted his own intelligence agencies, and sidelined public health officials. Both men operated from a place of supreme, unshakable confidence in their own genius. Caligula issued decrees from a palace. Trump had Twitter, broadcasting his gut feelings to millions. The result? A fire hose of chaos with advisors scrambling to clean up the mess. In both cases, the smartest guy in the room was also the most dangerous. Nothing says "I'm in charge" like spending other people's money on yourself. Caligula threw legendary banquets, built floating bridges for his own amusement, and drained the treasury on palaces and parties. Trump turned the presidency into a branding opportunity, with frequent taxpayer-funded trips to his resorts and golf courses. Caligula's feasts featured roasted peacocks. Trump served fast food to championship teams. The scale was different, but the principle was the same: use public funds for personal gratification. Caligula rode a horse across a bay. Trump rode a golf cart across manicured lawns. The only real question: who had the better caterer? When you think you're the center of the universe, you don't want supporters, you want disciples. Caligula declared himself a living god, demanded worship, and created a state religion of one himself. Loyalty was enforced by fear. Dissent was blasphemy. Trump built his cult of personality with TV and social media, casting himself as a populist hero. His rallies were modern gladiator games, massive, theatrical, and designed to whip followers into a frenzy. Loyalty was absolute. Criticism was betrayal. Both men demanded not just support, but total devotion. In the end, Trump's rallies made Caligula's games look like book clubs. Nepotism is the ultimate power move. Why bother with qualifications when you can just hire your family or your horse? Caligula threatened to make his horse, incitatus, a consul either as a joke or a statement about the Senate's incompetence. Trump appointed his daughter and son-in-law to senior White House roles regardless of experience. Jared Kushner was suddenly in charge of everything from Middle East peace to medical supplies. Caligula's horse at least didn't start a war or write a memoir. Both leaders showed that loyalty and bloodline trumped competence. Sometimes you almost have to respect the horse. For men who projected strength, both Caligula and Trump were comically thin-skinned. Caligula executed critics for the slightest insult, His cruelty was personal and driven by a fragile ego. Trump couldn't execute critics, but he had Twitter, lashing out at journalists, comedians, and even teenagers. No slight was too small for a presidential tirade. Both obsessed over their public image and flew into rages at mockery or dissent. Caligula's punishments were swift. Trump's were public, drawn out, and often misspelled. In the end, both left a trail of petty feuds and bruised egos. The difference: Caligula's wrath was fatal. Trump's was just exhausting. The most unsettling parallel? Both men's reality was whatever they said it was. Caligula declared himself a god, dressed as deities, and demanded worship. He genuinely seemed to believe it. When you think you're divine, rules and decency don't apply. Trump stopped short of divinity but called himself a very stable genius, and claimed to know more than anyone about everything. He dismissed facts as fake news, and insisted his gut feelings were more reliable than data. Caligula's delusions were religious. Trump's were reality TV. One ruled by divine right, the other by alternative facts. Both bent reality to fit their egos, and dragged their nations along for the ride. The rule of law is the backbone of any society unless you're Caligula or Trump. Caligula made laws unreadable, punished people for breaking rules they couldn't know, and used treason trials to enrich himself. The law was whatever he said it was, creating an atmosphere of terror and uncertainty. Trump didn't rewrite laws, he just ignored them, treating the Department of Justice as his personal law firm and attacking judges who ruled against it. Both saw the law as an inconvenience for lesser mortals. Caligula rewrote the rules, Trump bulldozed them. The result: new lows for their offices, and a legacy of institutional damage. A leader's true legacy is the state they leave behind. Caligula's reign was short but catastrophic. He emptied the treasury, paralyzed the government, and left Rome in crisis after his assassination. The Senate nearly restored the Republic, so shaken were the foundations of the empire. Trump left America deeply divided, battered by a pandemic, and reeling from an attack on the Capitol fueled by his own rhetoric. Both men left chaos, division, and battered institutions in their wake. The carnival ended and the cleanup was monumental. Their legacies: fear, division, and a cautionary tale about unchecked egos. One man's ego can do a lot of damage, no matter the century. So there you have it. Trump and Caligula, two tyrants separated by 2,000 years but united by gold, ego, and a love of spectacle. The details change. Togas become ties, chariots become golf carts. But the narcissism stays the same. This isn't to say Trump is Caligula reincarnated, but the comparison is a warning. When a nation falls for the cult of personality, it risks everything. History doesn't repeat itself, it just comes back dumber, louder, and with worse hair. If you survive this comparison, hit like, subscribe, and share for more historical roasts. Stay safe out there.